Hey, good evening, everybody. Hi, welcome to the program tonight. I'm Jann Scott. Be with you till 6 o'clock. We're going to be talking with Lieutenant Terry Jones from the Aurora Police Department. He's the coordinator for the High Cop program. And then in a few minutes, Ronald M. Enroth will be with us. Churches That Abuse. It's out on Zondervan Books, and then Nashville Jones and the band will be here. First of all, Lieutenant Terry Jones, coordinator of the High Cop program in the Aurora Police Department. Terry, welcome to the program.
Hi, it's nice to be here.
Yeah, good to have you on, sir. A couple questions. What is this High Cop program? I know that there's a lot of gang problems and a lot of drug dealing and prostitution going on in East Colfax.
Well, essentially, it's an acronym, first of all, and it stands for High Intensity Community-Oriented Policing. And what we do is we put a number of officers into a specific area that's been targeted, and generally it evolves just around what you had mentioned, gangs and drugs. Saturate the area, we make a police presence, and then we take police action, of course, on whatever violations that we see or that occur in our presence. And we have essentially 4 goals that we try to accomplish while we're doing it, and that is to essentially incapacitate the criminal activity going on, and we do that by making arrests. We disrupt gang activity and the associated drug trade that they have.
Right.
We attempt to displace the gang members, and then and fourthly, and most important, we improve the neighborhood and try to, improve the quality of life for the residents that live there.
There's a real big concern on East Colfax between Denver and Aurora with the amount of prostitution, the amount of gang activity. I mean, I have friends that tell me, hey, Jan, I won't walk on East Colfax and Aurora any night of the week because it's too dangerous out there. You got these crazy crack dealers and hookers, etc. Is that true? Has it gotten worse in the past 5 years?
I would say so. I think we saw the advent of crack cocaine in the last 5 to 7 years, and it hit big. It was on the coast, on the East Coast and West Coast prior to coming to Colorado, but it made a tremendous impact here as well. Plus, we're seeing a migration of the gang members from the East Coast and West Coast, as a result of the drug trade.
Are you seeing out of town gangsters coming into our town?
Very many out of town drug people and gang members.
That's how many people do you have in the unit, in the High Cop unit?
Well, it's myself and one other sergeant are assigned to the unit, but the way we facilitate this saturation of the areas is we put to work off-duty police officers. And right now the city has agreed to essentially open up a budget for us in an experiment for 3 months to see if the High Cop operation does in fact have an impact on drug and gang activity.
Is it?
So it's done by overtime people.
Is it? Are you having an impact?
We think so. We're currently working on 4 operations, and statistics can deviate one way or the other, but we are making a number of arrests. We're recovering crack cocaine on a regular basis, and not through undercover operations, but through uniformed police officers just making traffic stops.
Okay. Let's talk about the street for a second, okay? People are watching the show tonight here. It's 5:30 on a Wednesday night, and of course the show's going to repeat at 9 o'clock tonight and 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. People are sitting home watching this show, listening to you and I talk, and they know about activity that's going on in their neighborhood, or maybe they're familiar with the activity going on in East Colfax. What can they do to help you, and what can they do to help the High Cop program?
Well, the first thing is if they see some kind of criminal activity, is call the police department at 341-8300 and go ahead and report whatever activity they see and become involved. I mean, it's their community where this crime is occurring. And so with people out there calling in the crimes, of course, that helps us, but it helps us help them. So that would be the first thing. And secondly, if it's towards the High Cop end, if it's something that we're going to target, any information that we get would be helpful, and I can be reached at 341-8678, or Sergeant DeFalla can be reached at 341-8679. And if we're not in, it'll activate a voice recorder.
Yeah, I mean, you guys can't do all the work yourself, can you, to stop the hookers and the crack dealers and the gangsters?
No, absolutely not. We are heavily dependent upon the community. I mean, that's the only way we are going to be able to be successful in this.
And you people know that are watching, that's why we do this television show. We have got to help the cops. I mean, I know some of you, your opinions of the cops is that they're not our friends, especially if you're drug dealers. To that I say tough granola bars. But those of you who are sitting home, we need to help them. If we don't help them, take the streets back from the crack dealers and from the gangs and from the prostitutes. You know, that's a way for us to lose this war, and this is a war. I mean, it is a war out there, isn't it, with those guys?
It certainly is. I mean, just based on the weapon activity and the weapons that these individuals carry, I mean, it can be a very, very devastating, you know, reality where all of a sudden these people move into your neighborhood or your community. And of course, I'm not trying to say, you know, it's pervasive around the entire city of Aurora, the metro Denver area, but once they get root and they know that they can get away with it, they're there to stay and conduct a drug trade and drug business.
All right. Thanks, Lieutenant Terry Jones, High Cop Coordinator, Aurora Police Department. If you want to talk to him, or if you've got criminal, gang, drug, or prostitution activity going on in your neighborhood, call him at 341-8678. He's there now. And thanks a lot for being with us tonight.
Quite welcome. Thanks for the opportunity.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm Jann Scott. This is Jann Scott Tonight. Here's a message from Kinko's, and we'll be right back. Okay, here we are. We're back on. Did we hear from Kinko's, or did that not? That didn't happen, huh? Oh, it's gonna come back on. Well, you know, I can do a live. I can do a live spot here. Let me do this. Let me tell everybody about Jackson Parish and Marianne Parish here in Denver. They do caring and competent counseling. They have a general private practice emphasizing treatment of alcohol, drug dependency, codependency, adult children of alcoholics. If you have someone in the family who is an alcoholic and you need to have an intervention by a team, they can do it. This is Jackson and Marianne Parish. They were on the show here before. I think they're two of the best, to tell you the truth. I've watched them at work before, visited with them plenty of times, and I like them a lot. They're both in recovery. So that's Jackson and Marianne Parish, 322-6997. For an intervention, 322-6997, and tell them that Jann Scott sent you. Also, Dad's Coffee House is at 282 South Pennsylvania. If you like to go out and have coffee, have something to eat or drink, and not have alcohol involved, Dad's Coffee House is the place to go. They're at 282 South Pennsylvania Avenue. It's run by Keen Cameron and his partner. Good guys. Have over 100 drink combinations, coffee, tea, desserts, deli sandwiches, daily meal specials. It's right downtown at 282 South Broadway, right off, or South Pennsylvania rather. It's right near Pennsylvania and Broadway. That's Dad's Coffee House. Okay, can we try this again, or no? No, okay, we'll wait. All right. Your Serenity Store, that's Bonnie's place, 6766 North Lowell Boulevard in Denver. Your Serenity Shop. They have tapes, books, bumper stickers, T-shirts, anything you need. If you're in any 12-step program, they've got it. They got a whole bunch of new NA stuff in there, incidentally. So if you're an NA member, they've got a lot of new NA things. Bonnie has lots of books. In fact, she has this book here, Churches That Abuse. So let's do this. Let me introduce right now Ronald M. Enroth joins us this evening. The name of the book is Churches That Abuse. I'll set it up over here. Help for those who are hurt by legalism and churches where you get beat up. And incidentally, if you have been involved in a church where they beat you up, give us a call here, 671-9722 or 671-0938. We have somebody here probably who can answer some questions and help you. Ronald, welcome to the program tonight, sir.
Good to be here.
Welcome to Addiction Free TV, Jann Scott Tonight. Welcome to Denver. Let's talk about this. What I should tell everybody too. You are a professor at, I had it written down.
Westmont College in Santa Barbara, California. It's a four-year liberal arts college.
And you've written a lot of books about cults too, haven't you?
Right. For the last 20 years, I've been researching and writing about 8 books, in fact, about cults.
Right. Why did you write this book? This is out on Zondervan Press. It's a very reputable book publishing company. Part of HarperCollins distributes it. What made you write this particular one?
Well, those of us who are cult watchers for the last, I'd say, 5 or 6 years have gotten a lot of inquiries from parents, from just about anybody out there in the general public, not so much about cults, but about churches that most people wouldn't think of as cults, where there's a very strong authoritarian pastor or leader or elder who controls and manipulates the lives of people. In other words, they see a lot of cult-like tendencies in some churches. And a lot of people have been hurt by this, psychologically, spiritually, sometimes financially ripped off. I began to see patterns, because I'm a sociologist. A sociologist looks for group patterns. Began to see certain kinds of things taking place, certain kinds of leaders and pastors that typify these groups.
Now, when you say you're a sociologist, I would just, and I don't know this, but I would like to ask you, are you a Christian pastor yourself who have observed this, or have you written this from the point of view of being a sociologist?
I'm not a Christian pastor.
Okay.
In other words, I'm not an ordained minister. But I do belong to a Presbyterian church. In other words,
Okay.
I'm a Christian person, and I'm also a sociologist. So I combine both of those hats, using my expertise as a behavioral scientist and my concern as a Christian person for what's happening out there.
Yeah, because you can take heat. As soon as you start to talk about things like this, you know, you're going to get what I call the right-wing fundamentalist Christian fringe people will start to come down and they'll say, yes, but the Bible says whatever they think that it says, and then you need to follow what they think you ought to be following, and if you're not doing that, then you're not a quote-unquote Christian or whatever.
I'll not only take heat, I'll be called an agent of Satan.
Have you?
Oh yeah,
Really?
certainly, sure, because I am raising doubts.
Yeah.
I'm a threat to these guys. You know, they like me to write about the Moonies, the Hare Krishna, and what they consider to be cults.
But not about them.
Not about them. No, that's right.
Incidentally, 671-9722 or 671-0938. We got about 10 minutes for this topic. Denver, Boulder, Aurora, if we're speaking to you and you want to get involved in this conversation, give us a call, 671-9722. We're talking with Ronald M. Enroth, the author of this book right here. Can we see it? Yeah. Churches That Abuse. The other day, you heard me say on the television show, I looked right at the camera, and I said, those of you who watch these television shows and have these preachers ask you to send them money, don't do it, because most of them are crooks. And it's the truth. You know, we got TV stations in this town that sit there and suck the blood and money out of little old ladies. You know, and you think that you're going to get saved by doing that, or these guys are men of God, and, you know, and honestly, they're taking your, this is what I say, they're taking your money and they're ripping you off. Any thoughts on that now that I've put my opinion out on that one?
Well, there's all kinds of exploitation, and that's what you're talking about. Not only financial, you know, but and they're not all little old ladies. A lot of the groups that I write about in this book impact university students. They're picking up on college, university kids who are idealistic, who are really spiritually searching. In other words, they're sincere.
Yeah.
But they get them in their clutches, and they get them to believe that the preacher or the elder or the shepherd is God's mouthpiece. They tell them that there's no other church that's true. We're the only ones, or we're better than the rest.
How many times have you heard that? How many times have you heard, there's no other church, but our church is the true church. Our interpretation of the Bible right here, this is what it says, and we know that we're right. Yeah. And don't pay attention to those guys down the street over there at the Presbyterian church, because, you know, they're selling out. The devil's getting them.
One of the guys I talk about in the book says, it's my way or the highway. That says it all. In other words, this is it. We are God's green berets, another group says. And that's when the red lights go on, when I hear that kind of stuff. And when you don't criticize...
Prayer warriors?
Well, prayer warrior, that's a term that's used in different circles. It depends on what it means. But if you're God's green berets and the prayer warriors only exist in this church and nobody else, then I've got concerns.
Okay. Oh, we got some lines though. Let's go to the phones, okay? My guest this evening is Ronald M. Enroth, the name of the book, Churches That Abuse. And we'll go and talk with Doug. Doug on line 1. You got a question or a comment, Doug, for Mr. Enroth?
I got a question for Dr. Enroth anyhow.
Yes,
it's concerning a client that we got down here at Lake Park Farmers named Ricky Stanley. He's been going to this one church over here off of 41st and Federal, between 41st and 42nd.
What's your question?
I was wondering, what church do you think he would better go into? Actually, the one down here has been giving him money, making him give him about 50 cents every time in their things during the week.
Uh-huh.
I was wondering what church would be the best one that he should go to.
Well, so this has to do with money? Is that your concern?
Yeah.
All right, well, that's good. Well, let's see if we can get an answer on it. Thanks for your call.
You wanted to know which church to go to?
Yeah, which is probably hard because you don't know all the
Yeah,
churches.
I live in Santa Barbara, California. I'm
Right.
not familiar with the churches here. That's hard to answer. I think you need to look for a church where they don't threaten you, where they don't make you feel guilty, where they don't hit you over the head with a hammer every day. A church, in fact, a good church, and a lot of people don't think of a church, is a Salvation Army.
Well, I was just, it was going, just before you said it, it went right through my mind.
You know, if you think of the Salvation Army, all the
Yeah.
years they've been in business, no financial scams, no
Right.
scandals. Who knows the names of Salvation Army officers or leaders? Nobody. They're quietly doing their thing, helping people. They've been around for almost 50 years now.
Yeah.
They're just, as using a biblical phrase, they're giving a cup of cold water in Christ's name, and that's what true religion is about. Those guys are.
Isn't that interesting?
Great.
I've always really felt that. And if you happen to go to one of their services, they're not as hokey or goofy as you may think. They go through a lot of training to get to where they are.
Absolutely.
They work the streets. These people are in the trenches. They know what goes on.
No fantastic salaries.
No.
No elaborate buildings.
Nope. 80 cents on every dollar they spend goes back into the community to help people.
And you never see them on these Christian TV shows hawking their wares, right?
No. Be very careful of that. Our owner here of the station here, Gene Vanderstand, mentioned one day, he says, you ever see the Catholics on television asking for money? No. And I thought that's an interesting point. I don't know why. I see it as interesting. I'll tell you, I've been around some churches when somebody becomes saved and they have a relationship with God, and I don't mean to go religious on you, so don't turn the station off, but this is very important. And they have this kind of new awakening, new sort of aliveness. You go into a church and they say, "Oh yes, we love you, and you're in the spirit." And then suddenly, after a while, after a couple of weeks or 3 weeks, the hammer starts to come down and they start beating you up. It's not just the way to live, but it gets tighter and tighter and tighter. The noose starts to get tighter around your neck. You ever feel that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And there's a siege mentality, and they're very paranoid. You start criticizing them, and it's pull up the drawbridge. They're after us, including the media, other churches, other groups. Everybody's after them. And you worded it correctly. They draw the noose tighter. Information control is there. Other kinds of controls, so that people really can't question. They can't test reality by looking at other systems.
It's like this. It's say, well, okay, we want you to question. We want you to that's good. It's good to ask questions about the Bible, all right? And
but don't question the pastor and where he's coming from.
And what I say is always question authority.
A good authority, a good pastor will welcome your questions, even the tough questions.
Yeah.
That's one thing to look for. If they don't like the questions, if they think you're making waves, then it's time to bail out.
We'll be back here in a few minutes on Jan Scott Tonight with Ronald M. Enroth. The book is Churches That Abuse. 671-9722, 671-0938 is the number if you have any questions for Mr. Enroth. We'll be back in a minute. All right, back here on Jan Scott Tonight, or Addiction Free TV. Ronald Emroth is with us. The name of the book here is Churches That Abuse. Right here, it's out on Zondervan Books. He's on tour going around the country. We were talking about a church that I went to, and we're talking about questioning authority, questioning the pastor, and then you say, okay, and they finally look at you and they go, well, no, look, either you believe that the Bible is the Word of God or it's not. You either are a Christian or you're not a Christian. Now, wait a minute. And you get that, and you're like, oh, okay, because you don't want to be excluded.
The problem is not so much with the Bible, but what the preacher says about the Bible, his interpretation of the Bible. What he's really saying is you've got to believe me, because I'm God's mouthpiece.
Right.
It's not the Bible. You can't blame the Bible, but it's what people do with it. That's the problem.
Somebody brought up, said, I don't know if I'm too certain about whether I'm going to start drinking poisons or handling dangerous snakes. And then it's like, oh no, well there's a different interpretation on that, but we're talking about this part over here. You better believe this the way I believe it, or I don't know, the gates of heaven may not be open to you.
Yeah, and that can be a very heavy kind of form of spiritual intimidation. So that's why when people leave these groups, they need a 10, 12-step program very often.
Is there one?
Is there one for? There are support groups. There's even one in Denver that's associated with the Bear Valley Baptist Church. It's called the Shield of Faith. And it's sort of a recovery group, a small support group, and they have a therapist that works with people. and they're in scattered cities now. This kind of thing is springing up.
There you go. Shield of Faith at Baptist. What is it?
Bear Valley Baptist Church.
Okay. And if
Right
you're having a
there.
problem, if you're in a church where you're getting abused, Mr. Enroth, thank you for being here tonight with us, sir.
Thank you very much.
All
Enjoyed
right.
it.
Very good. All right. I'm Jann Scott. Come on in on me here, Jonathan. Coming up in a few minutes, Nashville Jones is going to be joining us, and I need to tell you a few things right now. Gene Trader, we already took care of them. Peril Barrel is done. All right. Cornerstone Books. They are over at 3601 South Sherman in Englewood. Cornerstone Books. All right. They have alcoholism books, books on spirituality, codependency, psychology, relationships, drug addiction. Cornerstone Books. They're at 3601 South Sherman in Englewood at 762-0499. Now we want to tell you also about the music store. They're in Boulder, 1535 Pearl Street, or Happy Logan's in Denver. This is Warner's store, the oldest music store in Denver, called the Music Store, 1535 Pearl Street up there in Boulder. 443-7887 is the number, or stop by, see Warner, tell him you heard about him on Jann Scott Tonight. Tell him you heard about Nashville singing on one of his guitars. Happy Logan's if you need to lease some equipment down here in Denver, 762-0883. Then finally, Lori and Jonathan Weiss do counseling. They do inner child work. They do healing work. They are at 794-5379, 794-5379, Lori and Jonathan Weiss. And then finally, we'll finish up all the commercials here. Amber's, for big, beautiful women, a unique, near new shop. They have sport and evening clothes, lingerie, jewelry, shoes, and more. Amber's Boutique at 428-9211, 428-9211. They're right over at 6821 Lowell Boulevard here in Denver. Now, I tell you what, folks, we got some tickets for the basketball game on Sunday nights. All right, the Nuggets versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. You give me a call right now. The first three callers at 671-9722 or 671-0938 give you a pair of tickets each, okay? $20 worth of Nuggets tickets for the Tuesday night games. 671-9722, 671-0938 if you want to go to the basketball game tonight. Nashville Jones, how are you, sir?
I'm good.
Hey,
How are you?
Good to have you on here, pal.
Good to be on here.
Do you hear that man? He was talking about your church. He mentioned he thought the Salvation Army had the best church of all, and I've always felt that for a long time. You go over there, don't you?
Yes, I do.
You and your neighbors. Were you surprised
Good
when you heard
church.
it? You heard it? No, we're not trying to go religious on you, so don't, you know. But, you know, it's kind of weird, isn't it?
Well, they do a lot of good for people. That's the name of the game. That's what Jesus taught.
I like the uniforms, man. I'd like to get me one of those.
Yeah, you gotta be better than I am to get a uniform. I'll tell you.
What are you gonna sing for us tonight?
I'm gonna sing a song about suburban cleaning woman blues to Gene's wife.
Yeah.
Well, cleaning up the compost ain't what she had in mind when she signed on to be your blushing bride. That little bit of heaven turned into a hell. Oh, Dr. Jekyll now is Mr. Hyde. She cooks and does the cleaning, Lord, and no one leaves a tip. Oh, well, I bet when there's a business trip she's going dancing. Listen to the band, find someone to hold those dishpan hands. She thought you was the princess and you the castle keep. Stack your armor neatly in the hall. Your sword has lost its luster, it's time to wake up Buster. Dragons you've been chasing are too small. Oh, dish rags are her ribbons, Mr. Clean, a personal friend. The castle's cold, she's ironing board. It's coming to an end, she's going dancing. And listen to the band. Find someone to hold those dishpan hands. Oh, dancing, listen to the band. Find someone to hold those dishpan hands.
Hey, thank you there, Nashville. Way to go. Okay, hey, don't go away. Hang out here. 671-9722, 671-0938. You want to go to the Nuggets basketball game with the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's Tuesday, March 31st, 1992. We got a bunch of tickets here. How many takers did we have on those, Marika? Is she back there? Did we give them all away yet? Oh, yeah, we got people calling in now on them. 671-9722 or 671-0938. All right, well, I want to talk to people on the phone here is what I want to do. Now, where are you going? Oh, we're almost, we got a minute, right? We got a minute, okay. What was I going to talk to you about? I'll tell you what I was going to talk to you about. I was going to talk to you, here we go, we got a caller right now. This is going to be a quick call. All right. Okay. Ricky, what's going on? You going to go to the basketball game, guy?
Yeah, I have to go to the football game.
All right. Sounds good. You been joining the show tonight?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
All right. You're not on drugs, are you? No, huh?
I'm on meds. That's it.
You're on meds? Did you get injured? Are you at home?
No, I'm not into it. I'm just at home.
Oh. How you feeling?
Great.
You feeling great? Okay, buddy. We'll send you to the basketball game. We'll put you back on hold here, okay?
Okay.
Good talking to you tonight. It's on meds, huh? That's too bad. Oh, Lord. Well, that's about it. We're out of time. You going to sing us out of here tonight?
Sure.
So, okay. See you tomorrow night, folks. Good night.
Oh, those old hurting hearts. If they could have one more chance, they'd love you forever till death do us part. Oh, those old hurting hearts. There's a cold, hollow wind. Long ago there lived a princess in a land far away. Charmed the hide right off the serpent and then danced while the demon played. Youth was strong and love was wild. I came on a charging steed. Ready for the battle, I had all that I would need. When the lovely princess and ruled the valley floor. But I never met a dragon that could fight like that before. My hour had come and my love was strong, but my sword was not honed sharp. Could not pierce the dragon's hide and my armor fell apart. The princess aided me with her tears and said, come again someday. I see you're still a losing and ain't yet learned to play. So while I heal, I hone my sword. Wait another day. I'll either take the dragon or they'll haul my bones away.
That banner fell on it. What was that? Did you hear him hit that chord? Oh my God! The Zephyrs, ladies and gentlemen, it's baseball season again. Put that up there. Yeah. Come on over here, Jonathan. Thank you, Nashville.
And make sure we get to some part of this.
Okay.
Baseball.
Hello, America. Uh-oh. Oh. As long as you just take me off the air with that.